Hey, everybody. I have a really interesting interview for you today with a young man who used to work on a marijuana farm run by the cartels. So stick around for that because it's a wild story.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Show your fucking money.
Hey, guys. On today's show, I have a very interesting guest. So the other day, when ICE went in and raided a farm in Ventura County, California, and all the left hair went on fire, and they were freaking out about it. And then, of course, we come to find out that there were children working on the farm, and the bar keeps getting lower and lower for Democrats. I was scrolling through responses to this story, and I came across this X post from a guy who goes by the name of World Peace Movement. His name is Darren Stallcup. And he's got quite a story to tell because he worked on one of these marijuana farms in California. And y'all, they are not what people think they are. And it's quite dark and quite scary. And he's frankly amazed to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome, Darren.
Hey, happy to be here, Angela. Love your show. I am lucky to be alive in California. Things that glitter aren't always gold, and everyone's pretty much aware of all the homelessness and fentanyl and the billion-dollar homeless industrial complex. Yeah, and all the corrupt politicians and everything happening in the major cities. But people are forgetting there's a huge cannabis industry, and there is a dark side to that. The iceberg is deep, and we're going to dive into it today. Really grateful to be here. Long story short, my house burned down to the ground when I was a kid, and I started hitchhiking northeast, south, and west across the United States of America. Ended up in an Eskimo village on the Arctic Ocean in Alaska, underneath the Northern Lights. I've had a pretty eventful life. And, when I was a teenager, I was a little rebel, and I experimented with pot just like anybody else. And I soon found myself on the pot farms of California. And let's just say not every pot farm in California is ran by hippies now.
Yeah, you were thinking, oh man, this is gonna be great. They're gonna pay me in weed.
I'm telling you, it sounded like a good idea at first. Mm-hmm. It really did. And it even looks good on paper. You would think with the legalization of cannabis, everything would be nice and dandy, but it actually opened up a power vacuum. And the cartel is at war with indigenous Native Americans right now. They are having ranch wars. They're fighting for territory. And with all this cannabis, now they're bringing in all kinds of drugs that God didn't put on this earth, like meth and fentanyl and everything in between. And it's really sad because on top of all the chaos and lawlessness Californians are already used to, there's a lot happening under the radar that goes unnoticed, and no one's talking about it, and it's not on the mainstream media. And I'm just really grateful to be on your show, Angela. Honestly, it's a lot to unpack. And then one day, we were standing outside of a gas station in Laytonville, California. We were standing outside of a gas station. We had a sign. We were holding up a sign, and it said, trimming.
You and your friends were holding a sign that said basically you wanted work at a farm?
A cardboard sign that says trimming. You got to get a pair of scissors, and you plant, you got to strip the bud, and you got to trim around the bud, and you got to make it nice, look nice and pretty for markets, so that when people go to buy the weed, it's a nice, clean-cut piece of bud, essentially.
So when you wrote that, knowing that a pot farmer would know that you knew what that meant.
Oh, definitely.
To pick you up for work.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Like an inside joke.
Right.
You are so observant, Angela. You are picking up what I'm putting down. I have never felt so understood in my life.
A farm came in and they said, "Come on, we can use you." And then what happened?
My buddies, and we were standing at the gas station with a sign that holds up saying trimming, and this red truck pulls up, and it was a beautiful blonde lady, much like yourself, and she was like, "Hey guys, do you want to come work on my farm?" And you know me, I had the rose-colored glasses. I was like, oh boy, do I? And so we all got into the back of her truck. So she took us in her red truck up this very dirt, unbeaten path. It was a dirt road up the mountain, all around the mountains. It went on for miles. I mean, we were like an hour into the Northern California redwoods. I'm telling you,
Were you freaked
there was
out
no
at all?
cell phone service. No, I thought I was going to another white farm. I thought I was going to go hang out with just some more American hippies, my fellow Christians. And she was really hot. I didn't think she would try to kill me, you know? And
Right.
she's just driving us up the hill. And lo and behold, we get to this metal gate. And she opens the metal gate. And then she drives us up the dirt road for a few more miles, right? So now we're really deep. We eventually pull into this grotto, this like hobble. It's imagine a hill that's just been cut back to where there's a nice little plateau above the hills.
Yeah.
And then imagine a really big hill above that. So like a big hill above a little hill. And at the base of this hill, there was I would say, medium-sized cabin, which was essentially a multi-purpose room, which served as a trimming facility during the day and a pallet barracks and make a pallet at night. So this cabin was at the bottom of the hill. In the middle of the hill was kind of like the operations cabin, kind of like the best
Like the
trimmer.
office?
And, yeah, just a little more higher up on the hill, higher up in the office sort of thing. And then on top of the hill was the head honcho's cabin. That's where all the blondes were hanging out, which I never got to go to, of course. And so we get to the cabin at the bottom of the hill, me and my friends. And next thing you know, all these people walk out of the cabin. It's about 10 or 12 illegal immigrants, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua, the usual, right? And they were all smiles. They were all greeting us like they'd never seen a white person before. And it was in that, I thought, so at first, like when I first saw them walk out of the cabin, I was like, okay, fuck, this is a cartel farm. But then the next part of me was like, well, I think I'm going to live. I think, maybe if I just smile and put my best foot forward and work hard, I can make it out alive. And I didn't really think too much about it. It was kind of like a ignorant confidence. Like, there's no way God and Jesus are going to let me die here on this farm. So, and I was already 2 in deep. So they were apprehensive to let me and my 2 buddies sleep in the cabin at the bottom of the hill. They just met us. They didn't know how we worked. They didn't really trust us. So they told us to make a shelter the first night. So the first night it was like survival. We had to build our own shelter in the forest just so we could have somewhere to sleep so we could work all day long the next day. So the first night it was super cold. It was like maybe a few degrees below freezing. So like 30 degrees, 28 degrees. It was freaking cold up there. And so the next morning while everyone's making breakfast, there was this 700-pound woman from I don't even know, somewhere in Central America, Guatemala or something. She was like 500 pounds. She was a grandma. And every morning she would make food, but only for the Spanish-speaking workers. And she told us that we had to have our own food and we should have came more prepared, and that sucks. So I used that as a talking point. And I said, okay, we'll get our own food and shit, but can we at least sleep in the cabin where everyone else is sleeping? It's too cold at night. And she said, all right, you guys could sleep in the cabin tonight if you work hard on your first day. Let's see how fast you could trim. So the first day, me and we get brought into the cabin. It's at the bottom of this hill, and there's about 5 or 6 tables, and it's like Thanksgiving. They got all the chairs around the table, but no one's eating. Everyone has a big bag of weed that comes out of these large cases, these large tubs of weed that comes off the crop, and it's not trimmed or processed yet. So you got to trim a pound, and it takes, I'm letting you know right now, it takes like It takes like 6 or 7 hours to trim a pound. I don't care who you are.
Wow.
It takes a long. Yeah, and
They don't
so
have a
and
machine
they
for
only
that?
pay. Yeah, but it's better to do it by hand. The machines cut out all the good stuff. We were trimming all day long, and it got to be about 7 or 8 p.m. at night. By the way, they're playing like super loud Mexican music all day long. I mean, inside of my head, I'm having an anxiety attack because I feel like they're going to kill me if I don't trim fast enough. And then at the same time, I can't even hear myself think because they have the Mexican music so loud. And so nighttime comes, and the head honcho comes in for the first, and it's this 3 foot tall Mexican guy, and I had never been so scared in my life. This 3 foot tall Mexican guy was the scariest guy I've ever seen or encountered in my life. I'm telling you, I was shaking in my boots.
Was this around the time where you were like, okay, this isn't some family farm. This is probably Cartel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I went from thinking it was just like a regular illegal immigrant pot farm to definitively, without beyond a shadow of doubt, knowing that it was a cartel pot farm. But it wasn't just like a run of the mill little cartel pot farm. This was a actual cartel. Like these guys were serious, and there was no room for any error, and certainly no tolerance for any white boys. Dude, it's the end of the day. The head honcho comes in, and he's like, "All right, guys, let's see your bags. Who trimmed the most weed? Who trimmed the least weed?" All of the Mexican workers trimmed a bunch of weed. They did a great job. My buddy David, he did a great job. He's the slowest one. No offense, he's the slowest one, but he did a better job than me. I was pissed. So he told the grandma, the 500-600 pound grandma, you guys need to make sure he's trimming and show him how to do it. He was actually kind of merciful for the first mistake. The first mistake, he was merciful. He's like, you just suck. Get better. Um, and so then everyone put up the pot. Everyone put the tubs up. Everyone put the bags away. Everyone set out their blankie and their pallet for the night. And then the next morning came, still no food, and it was cold as hell. And so all night long, I couldn't sleep. I was too cold. I was missing my family. Felt like I was gonna die, and I was starving. And both of my friends felt the same exact way, but they didn't say anything. They knew I knew. You know, we were all kind of just in a silent agreement. Everyone do the best they can. We might not make it out of this one this time, boys. We might not make it out this
Yeah,
time.
and nobody knows where you are.
Yeah, no, and yeah. So my family filed a missing persons report. All the whole nine, man. I didn't even know because my phone's off. We'll talk about that later. But so the next morning comes. All of my friends are freaking tired. They're hungry and they're scared to death. And it's morning time, and that 700-pound Mexican Guatemalan woman is cooking up breakfast for everybody, and they're all eating in front of us, and I'm like, damn, you guys, any of you want to share food? And eventually some of the Mexican workers were like sharing food with me just because they respected, you know,
They felt bad for
it takes
you.
a lot of balls for a white boy to go to a cartel farm. It takes a lot of balls. Even they knew that. We worked there for about 3 or 4 days. Next day, we're trimming again. And I'm telling everyone, we got to trim even better than the day before. We got to show some improvement. We got to do a better job. Even Michael's starting to trim better. Dave's starting to slow down so that he doesn't outshine me. And everyone's doing a good job. And nighttime comes again. And it's freaking cold. Well, this time we all kind of got into the same corner. The first night the pallets were random, but the second night I made sure we were all kind of in a similar group area at night, just because there were people coming and going up and down the hill. There were a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and and the only way, and it's like you're in a prison or something because you're just in a room trimming all day, and there's only 2 entrances, and you don't know what's going on in the cabin in the middle of the hill or the cabin at the top of the hill. all you know is that there's these two doors and people enter and people go, but you're stuck in that room trimming all day. And you know, the only other thing you know is that the hot blonde that you're like
The
desperately trying to,
bait.
yeah, the hot blonde's on top of the hill, and she keeps going up and down from the top of the hill. So we know that the only other white woman who's secretly working for the cartel, she has the free access to go as she please. She can walk around, do whatever she wants. Probably because she's sleeping with the head honcho and he likes her. So this is where shit hit the fan. The third day, we're trimming all day long. I'm getting better at trimming. Michael's getting better than me and Dave at trimming, and we're putting up a lot of weed. And it's the end of the day. End of day 3, and our Mexican coworkers are really starting to warm up to us, and they even started playing Bob Marley. So for the first time in like 3 days, after nonstop Mexican music, we finally got to hear some English music, which was Bob Marley. So that actually really helped ease the overall morale for our American friends. And it was at this moment that I went into my backpack. I was like, I know I ain't got no food, you guys, but I think I got something in my backpack. And I had forgotten. I don't know where I got it, but I had a big bottle of Jose Cuervo, which was like kryptonite to these illegal immigrants. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, dude. So listen to this. I pull out the bottle of Jose Cuervo, and everyone in that room, all of their eyes lit up, even the 500-pound Mexican woman. And everyone's like, "Oh, let's all take shots. Let's all take shots." And the head honcho's blonde baby mama's there, and she was taking some shots too. And next thing you know, everyone's drunk except for me and my American friends. I think I had 1 or 2 shots, but I made sure my companions, the people in my party, were sober. And this was like 9 or 10 p.m. at night. The head honcho walks in. I thought I was going to get killed at this point. I got spared. So head honcho walks in. He sees everyone's drunk. And he looks at me, and I'm holding up the bottle of Jose Cuervo. And instead of killing me, he takes the bottle himself, and he takes a couple shots. And he's kind of actually going along with it. And we have kind of like this impromptu kind of hippie illegal immigrant party at night. And we're playing loud music. Everyone's kind of dancing. And everyone was drunk, even the head honcho. So now I have the head honcho drunk. Everyone is drunk. I'm partially drunk. And the only sober people are my friend Dave and my friend Michael, who are now mad at me because there's no more Jose Cuervo and everyone's drunk except for them. And the manager guy, he's drunk, but he still has senses enough to say, "Okay, everyone, go to bed, you guys. We got a lot of work tomorrow." And so we shut everything down. It was at this point I had like a moment of Stockholm syndrome, a brief moment of Stockholm syndrome, where I was like, "Wow, these Mexicans are not so bad, maybe." I was like, I don't know, just when a monkey feels included, So
Yeah.
I was
Maybe
like,
I'll stay.
maybe, yeah, maybe this place isn't so bad after all. I really feel like I made some friends. Maybe these guys actually respect me. I was freaking wrong, dude. So in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., I get up to go find a blanket, and my friends, "Darren, don't get up." And I was like, "Dude, I'm freaking cool." And they had blankets. Got up in the middle of the night to get a blanket. There were 2 Mexican guys. Both of them had shotguns. And they're asking me why I was getting up in the middle of the night and walking around, and that wasn't trustworthy. And they made me go lay down on the floor again and told me not to get up until morning time. Wake up morning time, and I'm trying to be on my best behavior, and I hope the head honcho didn't hear that I was walking around in the middle of the night. That's like the last thing I want him to hear. And he did hear about it, unfortunately. And so while everyone was eating breakfast, the 3-foot-tall Mexican head honcho guy, he was like, "Hey, Darren, let's take a walk." And it was like, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna die. Fuck it, let's take a walk, brother." I was like, "Okay, sure, yeah, let's take a walk." And I'm like, am I gonna have to run away through the forest, or am I gonna have to, like, I don't know,
You're
right?
like looking for outs.
I'm looking for outs while playing along with the bad
Yeah.
guys. so that I don't have to get taken out right away. Instead, I'm buying time. I think I'm buying time, and so we walk up this dirt path, and we're like halfway to the middle cabin up the hill, and the 3 foot tall Mexican guy, and he's in his boots, and he's like, he's got his pistol on his side. So, you're walking around in the middle of the night. You know, that's our only rule. He's like, Darren, we only have one rule. Don't walk around in the middle of the night. He probably had a million other rules, but that's what he said, right? And
yeah, you're like, I don't think
sorry,
that's the only rule, but okay.
I was like, I'm sorry, man. It's freaking cold. I was
and you're
looking
like,
for
can
a blanket.
I leave?
I was like, I wasn't stealing any weed. I wasn't exploring the compound. I didn't leave the only room I'm allowed to be in. I was just cold looking for a blanket. And he's like, okay, sure. Go get in that truck. And he pointed to a blue truck. It was a double cab truck. And inside the truck were my two buddies. And it's one of the Mexican managers who's driving it. And he's like, get in the truck, Darren. And so I get, yeah.
So were you like, are they going to kill us or are they letting us go?
At this point, I knew they were going to kill me. And I was at that point where it's like, okay,
that's so
Darren,
scary.
you're gonna miss your mom, and you're really gonna miss your mom and dad. But time to start making peace with your own existence. And I wasn't crying. I was so sure that I was gonna die that I felt this unexplainable feeling of just like peace. And so as we're driving down the road that we never went down, the whole fucking time, my friend Michael is like talking to the Mexican manager. He's like, yeah, you guys are really cool. I like working on this pot farm. Yeah, this place is great.
And you're like, shut up.
and my friend David, who knew a little bit of Spanish, right? He was trying to tell them that Michael's an idiot and that I'm sorry, but he was trying to do it in Spanish. And the guy, his name's Martin or Marvin. He's the Mexican manager. He's driving the car and he's like, yeah, you guys are. He speaks English. Turns out he speaks English. He's like, yeah, you guys are pretty cool. We liked having you on the farm. I'm really sorry about this. You know, rules are rules. It's just the way it is. I can't do anything about it. My orders are my orders.
You're like, I'm getting killed right now.
Yeah. He's trying to be the cool executioner.
Yeah.
He drives us to the end of the road. There's a dead end, and it's like all the garbage you can think of. It looks like where they take everyone else to dump them at the end of the season, right? And he's like, everyone get out of the car. and he's got his pistol on his hip, and he says, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to let you guys go. I want you guys to walk in this direction. Don't look back. Don't ever talk about this place again, and just keep going. And so,
wow.
Yeah, we had a change of heart. The one honest cartel worker. And
the one you were so afraid of.
Yeah, but he was being the cool executioner, so I was kind of hoping he was cool executioner, and it turns out that he was. And I don't know what made him spare us that day, but let me finish this up really quick. This is like the biggest plot twist because I didn't include this on the Twitter post. We walk through the hills in the forest for like an hour or two, and we finally get back on the Highway 101. And we're walking along the side of the Highway 101, and I'm hitchhiking again. I'm like, guys, we got to make as much ground as possible from that small town. We're hitchhiking out, and we get picked up by this bald white man. And this bald white man is in a Ford F-150, and he's like, hey, do you guys want to go on a pot farm? And David and Michael are like, sure, yeah, let's go. And I was like,
no.
Oh, and then I was like, oh my God, there's no way this white guy's going to be as bad as the cartel. And my friends were like, we really need to work because those guys never paid us any money or gave us any free weed. So now we're really beyond our means out here, and we haven't fucking ate in a few days.
You should have called your families.
No, there's no cell phone service at this point, and I don't even think I left my backpack. We had got rid of our earthly possessions after this.
Wow.
So everyone gets into this white guy's white Ford thinking everything's nice. And I got the cabin door open so I can hear. And of course, Michael's talking his ear off like, yeah, I can't wait to work. I'm really good at trimming. I'm the best trimmer ever after he learned how to trim on the Cartel farm. And my friend David's like, is it a safe farm? Like, is it going to be cool? Because we just escaped the Cartel farm. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there listening to them.
You're
And,
like, shut up.
and guess what? He makes a turn on the same road trying to go back up to that same mountain. And it was at this point I said, everyone jump out of the car right now. And the guy's like, no, you guys don't have to get out. I was like, pull over right now, dude. We're getting the fuck out.
Oh my
So he
God.
pulls over. Me and my friends get out of the truck, and he drives off mad. And now all three of my friends were pissed. They were like, dude, we missed another opportunity of work and money. I was like, dude, he was taking us down the same fucking road again. So long story short, we made it back to San Francisco. We had no money or weed, but I was lucky to be alive, and I was happy to be alive, sister.
Man, Darren, that's a crazy story, my friend. Hey, Darren, how can people follow you? Very
You guys can find me, World Peace Movement. Search up Darren Stallcup. I've posted a few other things. There's a lot of missing people related to the cannabis industry. A lot of people getting taken out.
Yeah.
And also, there's a war going on right now between the Native Americans and the cartel. They're both growing weed and they're both fighting, and no one's talking about it. And it's happening right under Gavin Newsom's nose. So I really appreciate being on the show.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the next
maybe
time.
I'll have you back and we can talk about that because,
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom is aiding and abetting this.
A catalyst for chaos and lawlessness.
Yeah.
And Gavin Newsom is such a bad governor, sister, that it's having a negative impact on surrounding United States. It's like
it's bad.
Arizona, Texas, Nevada, Oregon, Washington. We're all suffering because California can't get their stuff together. It's really sad. So, yeah, I'm always willing to come on the show and talk, and I'll be a vessel for your art. So you call me, sister, anytime. Let me know.
Darren Stallcup, World Peace Movement. Thank you. This is a wild story. All right, guys. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.